Good day, everybody. Joshua Laycock, trying to evolve my lifestyle. I was, the funny things you see and learn when you make the mistake of diving into the comments on social media. It's almost a bit of a source of entertainment now that I like to dive into some of the comments on the social media posts, Instagram and stuff, of some of my friends who are pretty significant influencers in sort of, I guess we'll call the personal development space or whatever you want to call it. And, one of the things that does make me sad is the comments that, to summarize, are about a massive victim mentality. I know we've talked about the way that we find excuses in life, but one of the really, really common threads that I see is such and such did something to me, or so and so did this to me, or this happened to me, and this happened to me. And I don't even remember, to be honest, coming up to 60 videos if I've talked about this, but it's so important. This victim mentality holds us back. And I'll be honest, I sometimes fall victim to this as well. Look at what I even called it. I fall victim to it. I fall into that trap. You guys are going to get sick of hearing about this, but the lessons I've learned through this process with my company is wild. I went through this not that long ago of do they have to buy us? I had this thing going on and this thing happened to me, and now I have to deal with all these different decisions and choices. And it's like, boo-hoo. I mean, yes, something happened that will have an external influence on you. Now, what are you going to do about it? And we can't control the things that happen around us. But at the risk of sounding like a broken record, because I think people have to shift their mindset on this, is just because something happens doesn't mean that it happens to you. Right? The first iteration of this program, or of this journey that I'm trying to be on, I called the mindset renovation, because that's really where it needs to start, is renovating your mindset. And I called it that because pullyourheadoutofyourass.com doesn't really seem to have the same kind of professional ring. But we give up so much of our sovereignty and so much of our own being and our own self because we submit to the things that happen to us externally, and we really love to play the victim. We really love to play the victim. I've even, I'm sure you all have heard people arguing over who has it worse. Who has had the worst thing happen to them? Well, this thing happened to me. Oh yeah, I can beat you. This thing happened to me. And I'm really sad for these people, because if you stare at a mountain and all you see is this insurmountable obstacle, life must suck. I mean, to be completely honest, it must suck. And while I think most of us still have moments of overwhelm and frustration and resentment sometimes over the things that happen in life, the more quickly we can remind ourselves that we need to take ownership for our successes. We take ownership for our happiness. We take ownership for our fitness and our health. We take ownership for how we step into the world. Whether you're going to be a good parent, or a good husband or wife, or a good employee, or a good, citizen, you need to take responsibility for that outcome. And you need to recognize that you should say fuck it to all the external things that get in your way. They are simply moves in a chess match. They are simply variables to be considered. It's a problem to be solved, not an excuse to collapse and to surrender and to submit to this victimhood. when Jocko Willink put his book out, Jocko and Leif Babin put the book out, Extreme Ownership, I kind of went through this weird thing. I was like, well, that's really cool. I'm going to read this. And then as I was reading it, I sort of thought, well, I guess it's kind of pretty obvious, isn't it? And not in a, like, why would you write this kind of way? It's just like, how many of our solutions in the world are pretty obvious, are things that we probably should have just been doing all along. And I think we like to make things really complicated. We like to think that every nasty situation needs this monstrously complicated, extreme routine. I mean, look at some of the fitness trends and some of the nutrition and health trends, some of the biohacking things. They are so over the top complicated. And I'm not knocking them, apart from the fact that I think a lot of people misunderstand things like biohacking and when it's appropriate. The truth is that we overcomplicate solutions to things. Why am I not happy? Well, let me lay out the 1,200,000 things that are contributing to the reason that I'm not happy. Well, the simple reality is because you're choosing to not be happy. You're choosing to focus on all the wrong things, and you are not taking ownership. You don't have yet the courage to go after the things that you want. And this is my big challenge. And I've worked with my buddy Alan Placer, who I really, really appreciate his guidance and his counsel. And he's always one of the first to comment in YouTube, which I really appreciate. Is, for me, it's a courage thing. Because taking ownership of the good also means taking ownership of the bad. And I have submitted to victimhood on certain things, variables, conditions, circumstances that have a heavy influence on what I can and can't do. Our simple reality is, yes, I have a lot of external influences that affect the extent to which I can do certain things. And now go deal with them. And that hurdle, I threw myself a little bit of a pity party last night because my wrist is really fucking hurting me. I didn't go to Jits on Thursday. I kind of feel bad about that. I thought if I give it a couple more days to rest, and it hasn't. I've got it all taped up and I'm trying to get it back to normal. I'm going today, come hell or high water. We're gonna just deal with it. My wrist hurts and my back goes out. And, we were traveling as a family on an adventure during the years where the housing market went from here to up here. And when we came back, we were priced out of the market. And what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with these things? So my lifestyle evolution is going to start, or the next step. I've taken ownership for these things, at least I think I have. I refuse to be a victim, whether my company gets bought or whether I suffer an injury, whether just through silly timing, financially I'm not where I want to be. Whatever that is, I own that. They are simply variables that need to be navigated. And now it's about courage. But if you find yourself blaming others or blaming situations for the reasons why you have things or don't have things, you need to, I think, really focus on that victim mentality, and you need to really cut that shit out. Because I try to, and I'm going to summarize as we get closer to 100, I think some of the core things that people need to do or not do in order to set yourself up to win. But eliminating that victim mentality, eliminating the excuses and the reasons why you don't have something or the reasons why you are stuck somewhere, they are insurmountable, or the success is unachievable until you learn to tackle those things. So I'm at the courage phase of this journey, but if you are at step 1, please inventory where you're making excuses and who you are blaming for the reasons that you are where you are, and move past those. I'm going to go get coffee because that's what I do on Saturday mornings. And then I'm going to go home and I'm going to go to Jits and I'm going to have a fantastic day. And I'm going to own my happiness today. And I'm going to be a very present husband and father when I come back from Jits. And life will be fantastic. And then because I'm a raging geek, we're going to get a hold of Picard and we're going to watch an episode of Picard because I've heard that it is spectacular and I look forward to doing that. So enjoy your day. Don't let anyone control what you can and can't do. Do not be a victim. Own your fate. Yada, yada, yada. Have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow.